One moment, your dog is peaceful, curled up on the rug, half asleep on the couch, maybe watching you with those soft evening eyes while the house finally gets quiet. And then suddenly something changes. Their head lifts, their eyes sharpen, their body tightens for half a second, like a spring being pulled back. And before you can even say their name, they explode across the room, down the hallway, around the couch, back through the kitchen. Their paws slide, their ears fly back, and somehow your calm little dog has turned your living room into a racetrack. Most owners laugh. Some panic, some grab their phone. And almost everyone asks the same question. Why does this happen at night? It can look completely random, like your dog was normal 1 second and possessed the next, but nighttime zoomies are not nonsense. They are not your dog losing their mind. And they do not always mean the same thing. Sometimes zoomies are joy. Sometimes they are stored energy. Sometimes they are relief. Sometimes they are stress leaving the body in the only way your dog knows how to release it. And sometimes, if they suddenly become more intense, more frequent, or very different from normal, they are worth paying closer attention to. Because the real question is not, why is my dog running around like crazy? The real question is, what filled the pressure tank today? Most owners think zoomies begin when the running starts. But they usually begin hours earlier, in the walk that was too short, the nap that got interrupted, the excitement they held in, the stress they never got to shake off, the long, quiet day where their body rested, but their brain never fully settled. So in this video, we are going to break down why dogs suddenly get zoomies at night, what each version is trying to tell you, and when those wild little laps are just funny or a signal you should not ignore. Because the first reason is the one most owners assume is harmless. And most of the time it is, but not always. Number 1. The pressure release. The technical name for zoomies is FRAPs, which stands for frenetic random activity periods. And honestly, that name makes sense. Frenetic random activity. That is exactly what it looks like from the outside. Your dog suddenly bursts into high-speed movement, runs in circles, tears down the hallway, loops around the couch, and then stops almost as quickly as it started. But here is the problem with that name. It looks random to us. It usually is not random inside the dog. A dog does not go from sleeping to sprinting because nothing happened. Something changed. Maybe the change was in their body. Maybe it was the time of day. Maybe it was the rhythm of the house. Maybe it was relief after something stressful. Or maybe your dog simply had more energy than their body could quietly hold. And night is when all of those things tend to collide. Think about your dog's day from their side of the room. Maybe they spent hours waiting while the house was quiet. Maybe they napped while you worked. Maybe they watched you move through your routines without being able to join. Maybe their biggest excitement was a sound outside, a short walk, or the moment you finally came home. Then evening arrives. The family is together. Dinner smells fill the house. People move around. Doors open. The couch is occupied. The dog's favorite humans are finally available. To us, the day is ending. To many dogs, the best part of the day is just beginning. That is the first major clue. Night zoomies often happen because evening is the first moment your dog's stored energy has somewhere to go. They have been holding it in all day, not intentionally, not like a person saving up excitement. Their body simply had more fuel than outlets. And when the house finally feels safe, familiar, and active enough that fuel ignites. This is especially true for puppies and young dogs. A puppy can go from sleepy to feral in 3 seconds. 1 minute they are blinking slowly on the floor. The next, they are sprinting under chairs with the confidence of an Olympic athlete and the coordination of a shopping cart with one bad wheel. It is funny, but it is also information. Puppies are still learning how to regulate themselves. They do not always know how to move from awake to calm. They do not always know how to say, "I need rest." Sometimes the puppy who looks the most energetic is actually the puppy who has gone past tired and into chaos. And this is where many owners misunderstand night zoomies. They see the running and think, "My dog needs more exercise." Sometimes that is true, but not always. Sometimes your dog does not need another hour of stimulation. Sometimes they need help coming down. That difference matters. A dog who spent a whole day understimulated may need more movement, sniffing, play, chewing, training, or problem solving. But a puppy who had visitors, a busy walk, new sounds, dinner, playtime, and constant interaction may get zoomies because their nervous system is overloaded and has no graceful way to land. From the outside, both dogs are running. Inside, they may be saying two completely different things. One dog may be saying, "I have too much unused energy." The other may be saying, "I do not know how to settle." And if you respond to both the same way, you can accidentally make the second one worse. That is why more exercise is not always the answer. It feels logical. If the dog is running at night, tire them out more during the day. But dogs do not only need physical exhaustion, they need the right kind of outlet. A dog can run for an hour and still be mentally restless. A dog can chase a ball until their legs are tired and still have a nervous system that is buzzing. And a dog can have one short sniff heavy walk and come home more satisfied than after a fast march around the block. Because zoomies are not just about energy, they are about arousal. Arousal means activation. It can come from excitement. It can come from stress. It can come from frustration. It can come from anticipation. It can come from joy. And it can come from relief. That is why the first question is not, "How do I stop the zoomies?" The better question is, "What filled the pressure tank today?" Because if the tank was filled with unused energy, your dog may need better outlets. But if the tank was filled with stress, noise, interruption, or overstimulation, adding more excitement can make the next night even worse. And that brings us to the second reason. Sometimes nighttime zoomies are not about extra energy at all. Sometimes they are your dog's way of shaking off the day. Number 2, the release zoomies. This is where nighttime zoomies start to get more interesting, because some of the wildest zoomies happen after the moment that looks like it should have calmed your dog down, like a bath. If your dog has ever launched themselves around the house after a bath, you know this version. The towel comes off. Their wet fur sticks up. Their eyes get wild, and then they are gone. They rub their face into the carpet. They slam their body against the couch. They sprint from room to room like the shampoo personally offended them. Most people say they just hate being wet. Maybe, but that is probably not the whole story. Post-bath zoomies can be relief. The bath is over. The restraint is over. The slippery tub is over. The strange smells, the water, the touching, the towel, the human seriousness. All of it ends at once, and your dog's body releases. For some dogs, it is sensory. Wet fur feels strange. Towel rubbing creates stimulation. Shampoo changes the way they smell. Their body feels different, and they are trying to reset it. For other dogs, the bath may have been stressful, so the zoomies are not pure happiness. They are discharge. That is the key word. Discharge. A body can hold tension for only so long before it needs somewhere to go. Humans do this too, just in quieter ways. We pace after a stressful phone call. We shake our legs. We clean the kitchen at midnight. We laugh too hard after something scary is over. We move because stillness cannot hold the feeling anymore. Dogs are more honest about it. They sprint. And once you understand that, you start to see zoomies differently. The dog who zooms after a bath may not be saying, "That was fun." They may be saying, "I survived that." The dog who zooms after visitors leave may not be saying, "I loved the party." They may be saying, "That was a lot." The dog who zooms after being crated may not be saying, "I am wild for no reason." They may be saying, "My body has been still and now it needs to move." This does not mean zoomies are bad. It means they are information. And then there is one of the strangest versions of all, post-poop zoomies. If you know, you know. Your dog finishes their business outside, pauses for one mysterious second, and then blasts across the yard like they just won something. It looks ridiculous. It is usually hilarious. And the exact reason can vary. It may be relief. It may be excitement. It may be routine. It may be a burst of arousal after the body has finished something. Or it may simply be that your dog has learned the moment after potty time is when movement, freedom, or fun begins. The point is not that every post-poop Zoomie has one perfect explanation. The point is that Zoomies often appear after a transition, after the bath, after the crate, after pooping, after dinner, after guests leave, after the leash comes off, after a stressful moment ends, after a quiet day turns into an active evening. Zoomies often happen at the border between one state and another, restricted to free, wet to dry, alone to together, tense to safe, bored to engaged, awake to bedtime. And that is why night is so powerful. Night is full of transitions. The house changes. The light changes. People move differently. Dinner ends. Screens turn on. Doors close. The energy of the day has nowhere else to go, and your dog, who has been absorbing all of it, suddenly reaches the edge of what they can hold quietly. Then the body solves the problem in the fastest way it knows. Run. But here is where many owners get it wrong. If Zoomies are release, that does not always mean your dog needs more excitement. Sometimes they need less chaos. And the next reason is the one that looks like happiness, but can actually be a sign that your dog has been overstimulated all day. Number 3, joy or stress. Not all nighttime Zoomies mean the same thing, and this is where owners need to learn the difference between joyful chaos and something that deserves a closer look. A playful Zoomie usually has a certain shape. The body is loose. The mouth may be open. The movement is bouncy and curved. Your dog may play bow, grab a toy, loop back toward you, then sprint away again. They may pause and look at you with that mischievous face that seems to say, "Are you seeing this?" They may invite you to chase them, but they are not panicking. They can stop. They can recover. And after the burst, they usually come down. They may flop onto the floor, chew a toy, drink water, stretch, or fall asleep like nothing happened. That is usually normal, maybe inconvenient, maybe loud, maybe not great for your rug, but normal. A stress Zoomie can look different. The movement may seem frantic instead of playful. The body may look tighter. The face may look worried. Your dog may be harder to interrupt. They may whine, bark sharply, scratch, bite at themselves, run without playful pauses, or seem unable to settle afterward. And it often happens after something intense. A bath, grooming, visitors, a stressful car ride, conflict in the house, being restrained, or being left alone. This does not automatically mean something is seriously wrong, but it changes the meaning. A joyful Zoomie says, "I feel good, and I need to move." A stressed Zoomie may say, "That was too much, and I need to get it out of my body." And then there is the version that should not be brushed off as cute, a sudden new pattern. If a young, healthy dog has always had silly evening Zoomies, that is one thing. But if an older dog suddenly starts pacing, darting, acting disoriented, seeming frantic at night, or moving in a way that does not look like their normal play, slow down and look closer. Older dogs can still have joyful moments, but sudden changes matter. So do Zoomies that come with scratching, biting at the skin, limping, weakness, coughing, confusion, panic, repeated bursts, or an inability to settle. Those are the moments where the responsible answer is not, "They are just being funny." The responsible answer is, something may be uncomfortable, painful, itchy, anxious, or medically different, because Zoomies are usually normal. But usually is not the same as always. And this is the part a lot of viral pet content skips. It wants every behavior to have a sweet emotional meaning, but sometimes the most loving explanation is the one that tells you to look closer. So how do you tell the difference? Do not start with the running. Start with what happened before the running. Rewind the last hour. Was your dog alone most of the day? Did they miss their usual walk? Did rain keep them inside? Did guests come over? Was there a bath, a grooming session, a stressful car ride, a vet visit, a long nap, a big dinner, a game that ended too suddenly, a child running through the house, a bedtime routine, that always triggers excitement. The zoomie is the final scene. You have to rewind the footage. If the day was quiet and understimulating, the zoomies may be unused energy. If the day was intense and noisy, they may be decompression. If they happen at the same time every night, they may be routine. If they happen after a specific event, that event is probably part of the story. And if they happen out of nowhere in a dog who does not usually do this, the story deserves more attention. Curved, bouncy running usually points toward play or joy. Tight, frantic, repetitive movement may point towards stress, discomfort, or overload. A dog who can pause, respond, grab a toy, and settle afterward is different from a dog who seems trapped in the behavior. Then look at what happens after. This may be the most important clue. A normal zoomie ends. The dog runs, burns the burst, and comes down. Maybe they flop onto the floor with dramatic flair. Maybe they sigh. Maybe they chew. Maybe they fall asleep. But if your dog cannot come down, if the zoomies turn into pacing, whining, panting, scratching, hiding, or repeated bursts all night, that is a different pattern. The ending tells you what the zoomie was. Joy tends to resolve, stress may linger, discomfort may repeat. And that brings us to the part most owners do not think about. Sometimes the zoomies are not just about what happened today. Sometimes they happen because your dog has learned exactly when the night is supposed to get exciting. So what should you actually do when your dog gets nighttime zoomies? If the zoomies are normal but inconvenient, the answer is not to crush them. The answer is to give them safer pathways. First, clear the runway, move sharp objects, block slippery stairs, put down rugs if the floor is slick. Do not encourage high-speed laps around glass tables, tight corners, or furniture with sharp edges. If your dog likes to grab something during zoomies, offer a safe toy before they choose your shoe, your blanket, or your sleeve. And be careful with chasing. Some dogs love being chased, and it stays playful. But other dogs escalate fast. They get harder to catch, more frantic, more mouthy, more wild. If chasing makes your dog bigger, faster, and less able to think, switch the game. Toss a toy away from furniture. Offer a tug toy if they can play safely. Scatter a few treats on a mat after the burst. Give them something to carry. Let the energy move. But give it rails. Because zoomies are not bad behavior, but they do need a safe container. The bigger solution, though, happens before night. If your dog gets zoomies every evening because their day is empty, the night is not the real problem. The day is. That does not mean you need to exhaust your dog until they collapse. It means they may need better outlets. A sniff walk, a training game, a food puzzle, chewing time, tug, fetch, if it suits your dog, exploration, a chance to use their nose, a chance to make choices, a chance to be a dog before the living room becomes the only place their body can tell the truth. For some dogs, 20 minutes of slow sniffing can do more for the brain than a fast walk where they are never allowed to stop. For others, a short structured play session before dinner can take the edge off the evening burst. And for puppies, a calm bedtime routine may matter more than another round of excitement. This is where many owners accidentally create the very zoomies they are trying to stop. The dog starts getting wild. The owner laughs, jumps up, and turns it into a high-energy game. So the dog learns that bedtime chaos makes the human come alive. Or the dog gets overtired and the owner adds more stimulation, thinking they are burning energy. But really, they are pouring fuel on an already overloaded system. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is not make the zoomies bigger. It is help your dog land. That might mean lowering the energy of the house, turning down the lights, using a calmer voice, offering a chew, taking a short sniff break outside, creating a predictable bedtime pattern, giving your dog a place to settle, not as punishment, not as a timeout, as an off-ramp, because some dogs do not naturally find the off-ramp on their own, especially puppies. A puppy at night can look like a tiny tornado with teeth. They bite the blanket. They sprint under the table. They leap at your legs. They ignore every cue they seem to know at noon. and it is easy to think they are being bad, but often their nervous system is simply out of road. They are tired. They do not know they are tired, so they run. That is one of the great contradictions of dog behavior. The dog who most needs rest may look like the dog who needs more activity. The puppy who is ready for sleep may act like they are ready for battle. And if you only read the surface, you will miss the need underneath. So before you ask, how do I stop the zoomies? Ask a better question. Does my dog need a safer way to move, a better outlet earlier in the day, or help coming down? Because once you answer that, the zoomies stop looking like chaos. They start looking like communication. And the final piece is knowing when to laugh, when to guide, and when to pay closer attention. This is why night zoomies are such a useful window into your dog's day. Not perfectly, not every time, but often they tell you something about balance. A dog who gets healthy outlets, enough rest, safe play, sniffing, and predictable routines may still zoom. Because sometimes zoomies are simply joy. But if the zoomies are intense every night, hard to interrupt and followed by trouble settling, your dog may be showing you that their day is missing something, or has too much of something. Too little movement, too little mental work, too little sniffing, too little rest, too much excitement, too much confinement, too much stress, too much chaos. The zoomies are the smoke, the day is the fire. And once you understand that, you stop asking, how do I stop this tonight? You start asking, what has my dog been carrying all day? That is the real meaning. Night zoomies are not one single message. They are a category of messages. Sometimes the message is, I am happy. Sometimes it is, I am relieved. Sometimes it is, I had nothing to do all day. Sometimes it is, that bath was a lot. Sometimes it is, I am too tired to settle. Sometimes it is, my body feels strange. And sometimes it is simply, the people I love are here, the house is safe, and I have 5 minutes of lightning in my legs. Maybe that is why we find zoomies so funny. Because for a few seconds, dogs stop negotiating with the human world. They stop walking at our speed, waiting for our schedules, lying quietly while we finish our tasks. Their whole body says what they feel before their brain has time to make it neat. They become pure motion, but our job is to understand the motion, not just laugh at it. So the next time your dog explodes through the house at night, watch closely. Watch what happened before. Watch their body. Watch their face. Watch whether they invite you into play or seem unable to stop. Watch whether they recover. Watch whether this is the same silly burst you have always known, or something new. If it is joyful, make it safe and let them be a little ridiculous. If it is stored energy, change the day, not just the night. If it is stress relief, look at what filled them up before they had to release it. If it is overtired puppy chaos, help them come down. And if it is sudden, frantic, painful looking, skin-related, disoriented, or impossible to settle, do not write it off as cute. Look closer. Call your veterinarian if something feels off. Because zoomies are not madness. They are release. They are the moment the pressure tank opens. And once you learn to ask what filled that tank, you will never see those wild nighttime laps the same way again. Your dog is not just running around the room. They are telling you how the day felt inside their body. So tonight, do not only watch the sprint. Watch the quiet little moments before it. That is where the real story begins. And if this helped you understand your dog's behavior in a deeper way, subscribe for more videos that explain what your dog is trying to tell you before the small signals become big ones.